And welcome. Well, I can say welcome back because I'm sitting in the same chair. It's just that it's a different program, and we're now into voices for today, and this is gonna be very interesting as we move along. And let me see if I can go straight to the phone lines right off. Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Yeah, good day.
We're in a dilemma. Yeah, to begin with, the world is at war. Our region is involved. But our administrators seems to me like they're in the movies watching a Mickey Mouse cartoon. They are not real. See here? Real administrators, and maybe it's time, yeah, that the people rise up and call for the resignation of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture, I have had the privilege of being in a farmers meeting with him one time in 4 years. No disrespect. How can you manage something without having any engagement with the players? Disrespect, totally. See, the worst are the most dangerous African is a colonized African. And you see the educated ones, they are among the worst. Because when you look, what do they do with the education to contribute to better, actually, to even changing the colonial curriculum? The bill that was passed, I said it already, was to facilitate. Things has been done. Deals done. We have been sold a second time. And when we wake up too, we're going to realize these are not our lands. They belong to the Canilago and Tiano. Them kind of people, they are not ours. We were brought here to occupy the land for the white man until he's ready for them. The only place we got land to claim, it is true, and we will realize it one day, is in Africa. When we gonna wake up is when we begin to respect ourselves, when we understand the meaning of language, the meaning of religion, the meaning of name, because all of us name belong to the man who own us. When white man come, everybody know who they silly of them be. We ain't do nothing to change that.
But
We
call
need
up,
to
call up,
realize.
call up. Let me interject here because, like you, I'm a student of history. And like you, growing up, I always had a problem with the name I found myself with. But what was I to do? I could have changed it to an African name, but the way the system is set up, it would be very, very costly to do so. And I didn't, I had reached a point in my acceptance of who I am where I realized, okay, so I've got this name that you gave to me, but I know who I am. I know my history. My history links me to my roots. So I've accepted the name, not that I'm completely comfortable with it, but let's say I tolerate the name and I move forward. I move forward knowing what my intent should be and what I should disseminate by way of knowledge to my offspring and to the wider population, population to the extent that that I can. So, in a nutshell, what I'm saying to you is this: yes, I am here. My name is Patrick, which more comes from Irish, but I don't see myself as an Irishman. I see myself as a black man, and it is who
Okay.
I am, and nothing
Okay.
can change that.
That's not what it is about. No. You see, when we understand, you see, like all your discussion about selling African and selling African, we're prisoners of war. That's where we must begin. It's even with the name, yeah. But the consciousness to know the grounds on which you stand is what we're talking about. We're prisoners of war. If there is, I've said it, human trafficking, we are evidence of human trafficking. How did we get here? To understand that, to know that you're a prisoner of war, to know that what we have survived, tell the world that we are not ordinary people. We have to be the universe in human form. Ain't no other race could have been through what we've been through and come out, and today, in America, the people lose everything. Down here, they lose everything. In Africa, we are taking back ours. The miseducation make you feel little. So we don't want to be. We didn't understand that what we went through.
When you say we,
African
because
people,
because
we once you let me use the term black,
yes,
and it's not black. We're melanin people because words are hypnotic. We use words black and history and saying African history. There's no such thing as African history. Any history is his story. It must be African legacy, African heritage. We are using hypnotic words, the words that are keeping us enslaved.
I agree.
How can it be African his story?
But here's what I'm
Something is
saying.
wrong.
But here's what I'm saying. I am saying, and I'm going to ask you a question. So, our foreparents were prisoners of war, those who were brought here and enslaved. And you're right. They tried, a lot of people, they don't hear that in their history, but it is there if they peruse history enough. They tried every race. They even tried their own race in slavery. None of them could withstand, right? Neither the Indian, the Chinese, the Kalinagos, none of them could withstand what our foreparents withstood. So you're right.
It's not use those words, withstand, you know. None of them gave them the knowledge, the technology that they needed. And then you can say, sustain the abuse and survived as we have.
Yes.
We must understand
So
that
I am
because
so
we put it
so caller.
like it was with black skin and we muscle strong. No, we are superior people. We are the Anunnaki. We are the
Caller,
Cartelians. We are
caller.
people from
Caller.
King James.
I'm agreeing with everything that you said, but here's my problem. Here's where I'm going to ask you the question. So you're saying that after our foreparents were brought here, neither do I disagree with your claim that if we want to, we can make claims to Africa. I don't disagree with that. But here's what I'm asking you. You're saying that our foreparents were brought here, shed blood, sweat, and tears. We know the travail that they have gone through. The white man didn't feel that we were worth anything. When the white man abdicated or absconded from this proximity, he felt that we were going to perish. Fortunately, because of everything that you've said before, we, the descendants of those, are here. So you're saying that we should just relinquish this?
No,
Okay, I wanted to
I'm
be
gonna
clear on
make
that.
reference to the bill. I'm gonna make reference to the bill. The bill is the government's intention to appropriate in Nevis 500 acres and in St. Kitts 700 acres for development. Now hear what I'm saying. You are taking away people's land for foreign development, people who can come in and give us and provide us with a job, put us in servitude.
Yes.
The bill is not to encourage the owners of the land to develop the land. No,
I
you know
agree
why?
with you.
Because
I
that
agree
was
with you
not,
there. I
because
agree with you
that
on that. I
is
agree
not
with you
the
wholeheartedly on
order.
that. Yes.
Because that is not the order. The order they have been given as to how to distribute and to who their lands, it is the rules that is being followed. You mentioned sustainable. It is not sustainable development is the problem, you know. It is sustainable settlement. Because when they don't take where you land for and give to ye, Mr. Man, what do you think they're going to do with you? Put you in the settlement that is provided for you is the reality. If it was your lands, it could not happen because you could stand and defend your land. The lands are all crown lands. It is not ours.
No, but
We are.
but caller, the lands that we're speaking to over on Nevis is not crown lands. These are lands
Yes.
owned by Nevisians.
No. They all the lands we pay house and land tax, and they pay Nevis too. If your parent they tell you you ain't own,
Well, you see, that's
that
another.
is what
You
the
see
tax
that.
is.
You see, that's another whole argument there.
But
Where,
that is the
yeah,
tax.
that
It
is.
is telling you. And when you go in the Ministry of Finance and you really go into the term estate, you would realize it's termed in a way that you're renting from the crown.
But yes, look, caller. This is a whole nother conversation, and this is
Yeah,
why.
but it is the reality. If
Yes,
we
listen,
wake up
listen,
and
listen,
rise up
listen to
as
me.
African people,
Listen,
we're going
listen,
to suffer.
listen to me. I'm agreeing with you, but here's what I say. That is a whole nother conversation that somehow down the line we're going to have to delve into because I never I've always had an disagreement with that. You work, you pay, you own something, and then you're still continuously paying for something that is supposed to be yours. So I hear that part of the agreement, but put that aside. I'm speaking to the fact that this land is owned by Nevisians. But let's again revisit the title of this bill, which you have alluded to on a few occasions so far this morning: special sustainability. Now, the special sustainability, I think that those two words were put in for us, the indigenous people. But these other words, these other two, zone and authorization, does not apply to us. And this is where I'm agreeing with you. Zone authorization means that you're going to pick a zone or create a zone or designate a zone and authorize it. But if you're going to authorize it,
That's what it is.
how will you authorize it for whom when it
By
is already
putting
present?
clearing what land they want, they have the Land Appropriation Act.
Yes.
They're going to take the land, declare this zone, they're going to declare it, and whether you want to or not, the bulldozer them going to shove you down, and they're going to put you where they want to put you. You ain't got no choice. The reality is the reality, you know. It ain't no soft talk and easy words, you know.
And this is
When the
why,
people kill him in Africa,
this is
that's why
why,
you don't see what's going on here. The people them taking back the thing.
this is why caller, this is why caller, this is why, I agree with you to a considerable extent. When you read, and this is why people must read and and understand what you read. The bill is entitled uh, sustainability Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Bill. That is what is entitled. It is right there in front of your face. It is not hiding anywhere. It is right there in the bill.
And they should print the whole bill. Because I got right here with me. I got copies of what they got published at the bill here. I have copies because me a man does, I just read and print. So I have the copies that they have available on the government website. Because it's just little, what you call it, inserts maybe.
Yeah.
They ain't got the whole bill out there. What is important they are hammering in your head is for development. You take me land to develop, to give somebody else, why not? You see, assist me in developing my land.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to tell you, we get money for geothermal. People ain't paying attention, you know. We get money for osmosis plant. Well, what we really, in weird, we really think is gifts. Nothing is for free. We're going around Fort Thomas and who around there. When we are sleepwalking, and I'm going to finish by saying this, is why the government in a region where war is blooming and the entire region, the Caribbean region, nobody wake up yet and realize in a couple of months, no boat coming. So economy gone in. Anything blast anyway, no boat coming. No plane coming. What we gonna eat? What are they doing to try to cushion the possibility? Nothing. No food is being planted. We should be moving in a robust agriculture movement right now to the land them while you're telling people must come by, take them 750 acres. Take one of them 750 acre plots and give it to farmers. Instead of a little backyard garden what we got called farm, give it to us. It is our life's work is all we want to do. So we can make an effort to plant some food so we children them have something to eat. Big war in the region, we ain't paying attention. We going hungry in a minute. It's going to be worse than COVID. Where is the movement? This administration, if the people, they got to go. The Prime Minister, I've said it many times, went to Africa, himself, and the Minister of Agriculture. They understood the equation between land and farming. They came back and showed 100 acres for what? Ganja and pepper. For who? Bless up.
Yeah. Well, that was a very interesting input there. And I would say that there's the potential that we could have a war, but I use the word potential. And because there is that potential, it is vital that what the old people say, prevention is better than cure. Do you wait until if it so moves that there is an escalation that you find yourself in a position where you cannot feed yourself? That is a question. And here's another thing I'm going to let you ponder as I take this commercial break. When you listen to what the Rastafari have been saying from then until now, if you're honest with yourself, most often than not, they have been proven right. So why not listen to them now? Let's take that bit of a commercial break, and I'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Rams the good food people always there to serve you. Rams the good food people locations right near you. Rams the good food people in store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty. Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Welcome back to Voices. The time is 10:31. 31 minutes moving away from the 10 o'clock hour. Let me go to the phone lines. Good day, caller.
Hey, greetings, my friend.
Greetings, my friend.
I want to go back to the call from Welcome. When he started out, I know something was wrong, because I was wondering, is Quint listening to this guy?
I always
And
try to listen. I always try to listen.
No. What I'm saying, what really happened is that you then said that you went to close the door.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I knew if you heard him, you will cut him.
Okay, so and remember when I came back, I said, I hope you didn't said anything that would be, and he said no. But then he went on to proceed to say,
Exactly.
so
he
then
repeat
so then it
exactly
means you see, when you try to be nice, because I could have cut him, I could have said, well, I'm gonna have to go and close the door, so I'm gonna cut him. But I used some courtesy and hoping that, knowing that he says he wants to be a leader, that he would have some tact, some decorum. But no, that seems to be lacking.
No, he may think that he is out of the reach of the court in St. Kitts Nevis. However, when media is not, and he is using this statement on this station, so you become the publisher.
Yeah.
And I can recall some years ago, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I heard these announcements. I think it was Tony Frederick who kept repeating this apology. And, things like this is not good. General Powell once said it was a occupational hazard, something. He had referred to it like that.
Yeah.
And he must be careful,
Well, what I'm gonna do now, because he has been speaking on this station for a long time, and he never used to make those statements The problem I had with him was his grammar and his context and so forth, and I try to guide him down a path, but he doesn't listen. But it seems as if though he has become emboldened over time to where he now feels he can make these brash statements. And so I've got to be very keen when I listen to him now.
And as I say, you got, I think you got two options. You could cut him or you could turn his volume down, whichever is up to you.
Well, I would prefer to cut him because if I turn his volume down and I bring it back up, you notice he tends to reiterate what he said before. He does not. If you tone his volume down, he's not keen enough to listen and say. Like Burl now is different. Burl will listen, and if I were to pull Burl's volume down and bring it back up, which I've never done, because I could say to Burl, be careful of that statement, or why don't you word it this way? And Burl will say, okay, I stand corrected. But he is different to Burl. He does not see where he makes any mistake. He will say, I'm human and I make mistake, but then he goes on to make the very same statement.
Yeah. Well, again, with the going back to the situation last night with the premier, for the life of me, I'm wondering why are they representing the entity? The entity supposed to come before the government and put its case.
Yeah.
The government is putting a case for the entity.
And let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a question. The entity, as far as you've garnered so far, are you aware of what the entity is, who they are, what they will bring? Are you aware of any of that?
Well, he's saying what they're saying.
But what he's
We want to hear it from them.
But what is he saying that they're saying? Because I've not heard anything that he's saying that they're saying that is sustainable and viable for us. So perhaps if you heard something that I didn't hear, you can tell me.
Well, I did not hear anything.
But that's what I'm saying. This is what I've heard him say. I've heard him say, because he find himself caught between a rock and a hard place. So he now says, well, at a certain point, I did not have something from an investor, but of late, I do have something from an investor. But he does not go on to say what it is. Who is the investor? What will the investment be? What advancement will it bring to us? Those are the things I'm not hearing. So I was wondering if you heard them, perhaps you could enlighten me, because maybe you heard them and I have not.
Well, as I say, I didn't hear anything.
Well, so in a nutshell, what is? Go ahead.
I would have preferred if the investor was there, representing themselves.
I agree.
But he seems to be doing it for them, which it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Can he keep repeating it? If he don't know something, how is he going to represent?
Yeah. And then he says, I only deal on facts. I can't deal on hearsay and speculation. But what are the facts?
What a tangle web we weave, you hear me? But I'm calling on the people of Nevis. Whenever this next election come around, punish these people. Punish them.
And further, I heard him say on a number of occasions, he said to Mr. McMahon, be careful what you say, don't be careful what you say, because that is your conjecture. I don't think the people of Nevis agree with you, because you're saying the people of Nevis have an issue with it, but that is your personal. So in his own inflated, egotistical way, he is saying that the people of Nevis doesn't see any issue with this, and to date we can't say, neither you or I, or if anyone out there has heard him say something that tells us what this investment is about, what will it bring, how will it be developed, will it be a textile industry, will it be, we don't know anything. So, what is he really saying that the people of Nevis that they're fair and they're agreeable with what?
Don't forget he also said some time back that the people of Nevis keep reposing their trust in him
Yes,
even when he
yes.
do wrong.
Well, I don't know if he said even when he did wrong, but
Well,
he has said that the people keep referring back to him.
well, we say wrong, and he have heard it, and he have never denied that he hasn't done anything wrong. So
And
so
here's
but
another statement he made that I think it was Mr. McMahon or someone said it was another caller who said, well, we saw you at it is Martha's Vineyard or something like that. I think it is Martha's Vineyard is the name of the place. We saw you at Martha's Vineyard, and so you seem to have had a good time. And Mark Brantley's retort is, yes, I went to Martha's Vineyard and I brought back something very good. It was very productive for Nevis. But what is the product that he brought back?
well,
You
only
see,
time will
when
tell.
people make these vague statements, and this is why I can't understand why we allow these politicians to get away with this. You say, I brought back something. Well, isn't it the onus on the people to then ask, so enlighten us as to what you brought back?
Well, maybe that is a trade secret too,
Well,
because in the early um, in the early stage of the Jew administration, we heard about trade secrets,
yeah.
So maybe he got a trade secret too.
And you see, we're only speculating, and he has a problem with that. But again, when you
Yes,
don't bring the facts, then we speculate. You can't blame us.
of course, that's the only thing we could do.
Yeah. You have the
You know,
facts. You've said it. It has come out of your lips. You have the facts. So bring the facts. If you don't bring the facts, then why are you angry or you know, all perturbed that we speculate? It is all that we can do.
I don't know why the both administration is so secretive. You know,
I've said
Uh,
it before and I reiterate, if I were the federal government, I would wash my hands of this. You heard Mark last evening and you heard how he was ready to throw the federal government under the bus. You heard certain statements made and he said, well, if that has happened, it has not happened on Nevis. So go and put that blame where it belongs. You heard those statements, right?
exactly, that's what he does all the time. He always blames somebody else, for his shortcoming.
Well,
So he's throwing it back at you.
yeah. So if I were Jew,
Yeah.
because Jew has made a statement, and I would lean towards him, even though I don't understand, I don't, I can't comprehend what Mark could have said to them that would have convinced them that they should follow and agree with and push through this bill. But in hindsight, now that it is playing out the way it is, Jew has said, look, we can't do these things on Nevis, unless we have this the authority from the Nevis contingent, or other words, from Mark Brantley and his cabinet. So I would have washed my hands from it.
You said something, and I'm gonna try and see if I could. Now, in my estimation, look at how the government is set up. We have 6 elected members that form the government, and the deputy speaker comes from the opposition. Now, let's say hypothetically, Mark was to pull the deputy speaker. Where would that leave you? One of his senators will have to become the speaker.
But
Most
here's
likely,
but here's another side to it. Where will it I hear you, but where will it leave Mark? So both of them are in a compromising position. I can't say one has the edge over the other.
Well, it's not about having the edge. It's just a matter of um, um, Mark doing what he usually do, like what he did to Team Unity. You know, if he was to go that route, that's where we leave Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he did it to Team Unity. He said it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He said he mashed it up. So he could pull his deputy and put some real pressure on Drew. So Philip, the other senator, will have to take up the deputy speaker position, and maybe because Labour accustomed to run the parliament with just the speaker alone. You know, one time one person is a deputy, next thing they jump back, they resign and go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
and forth. You remember those days?
Yeah, remember those days. Remember those
Oh,
days.
okay. Useless instrument.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, caller. Let's take a bit of a commercial break. Thanks for your input, as usual. And we'll take a bit of a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Rams the good food people, always there to serve you. Rams the good food people, locations right near you. Rams the good food people, in-store specials for you. Rams the good food people, Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices, Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty, Rams is always here. We are community, we are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
And we are back. The time is 10:47. Let me go straight to the phone lines. Hello, caller.
Yes. I'm fortunate this time again. The first, on the backdrop of your first caller, when you're talking about this special sustainability thing with the lands and so on, and something your caller said that I don't agree with. He said, well, in my own words, it's like a done deal and there's nothing that the citizens, my words, can do about it. And that is what I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Of course, they can do something. You know, some time ago, I saw something, and this happened in one of the provinces in China. And I think the government wanted to, well, inverted commas government, wanted to build a highway. And that highway was running through, it was going to go through a rural community like, you know, and there was some of the miners, I'm talking about China, you know.
Yeah.
China that comes under a lot of wrath by these same persons who say they have democracy.
Yeah.
And some of the citizens there in China, in that province, decided that they are not going to sell their lands. And they were willing to pay them for the land, and they decided they are not going to pay. They're not going to sell. right? They're not going to sell because some of them already had houses on their lands and so on. And over time, parents they become deceased, maybe children move away and whatever. And what do you think happened? They built the highway around these properties. So if you have an aerial view of that highway, you see the highway dotted like, you know, plots of land with houses there, like islands there in the highway.
Yeah.
I just had to smile to myself. And that is China. That is China. And about last month, Ukraine. Now, it is said that the president of Ukraine, he is, well, let me say, it is said he is engaged in corrupt practices. Like some of the finance that is going his way, he siphoned off quite a bit of it for himself. That is what is said.
Yes.
Now, about 4 weeks ago, no more than 5 weeks, he went into parliament and told the nation that whatever to do, we have the integrity in public life and we talk about transparency and all of that. He went into parliament and passed a law and decided that all of that, anything to do with integrity in public life and so on, he's going to bring it under his purview or his ministry, so to speak. And what do you think those Ukrainians did? They got to the street the very next day and protested.
Yeah.
They protested and said, no, we don't want that. You are not going to be the one to be the judge, the juror, and whatsoever. No. You're going to leave that to the non-governmental agency, as the case may be.
Yes. Yeah.
And they protested the day after that happened. And the very next day, he was forced to go back to parliament and change that law.
Yeah.
I think they say repeal it. He
Yes.
had to go back and change it. So when we are going to sit here and feel like, oh, it's a done deal and the law is already passed and all of that and nothing can be done, that's a lie. It is a lie.
But caller,
Yes.
I hear what you're saying, but maybe he's just being hypothetical. Maybe he's saying it's a done deal, not feeling it's a done deal, but on the two instances that you spoke about, both in China and in the Ukraine, the people made a hoopla about it. The people got up and decided this is not supposed to happen. Perhaps he's saying it's a done deal because people are not making any hoopla about what is happening.
Quinn, that is what I was coming to. That's exactly what I was coming into. To prove the point that it doesn't have to be a done deal, but it's only going to go over like this to those who put these words there and say it's the law and make them feel like, well, okay, they have done it, so nothing is going to be done because the people not coming together. You understand?
Yeah.
They're not coming together because political partisanship is what is killing a lot of us here. You see? It's what is killing a lot of us here. It doesn't have to be no done deal. It ain't no done deal like that. Because the law, to me, is only put there by flesh and blood to protect certain persons' interests. And as it is described, the law is like a cobweb. It is designed to trap small flies, but the wasp and the hornets, they break through. You see that? It is designed to trap only a certain section of the population. So the law in itself is not ultimate. It is not pristine, right? It is not a done deal. It can always be challenged. Amendments can be made. It can be repealed. It can be changed. You see?
This is why I made the statement. I don't know if anyone will adhere to it, but because I've been hearing individuals, when I make the statement, individuals say, well, Mark has a sort of the handle and Jew has a blade. I disagree. I believe that they're both in the very same compromising position. And if if I were the federal aspect of this, I would have washed my hands of this thing. I would have washed my hand of it and then called Mark's bluff. Mark what can Mark do? What is he gonna do?
Well, I guess he's trying to make the federal government complicit in all of this. Another thing that is coming out of this, right? I mean, if they're going to take away, so to speak, private lands, they have to pay the value of that land. And I don't think it is up to them to decide what the value is. I think the owner is the one who is in the position to decide what they're going to sell that land for.
Yeah.
Now, is it a matter that, let's assume, speaking hypothetically, let's assume this goes through. Is it a matter that he has no intention, he doesn't have any money, or he has no intention of paying for those lands? So pass it over to the federal.
Who are you meaning? No, this has the land buying and so forth has nothing to do with Mark. You know, Mark, as he has said rightfully so, the government doesn't own any land there. So anything to do with the selling would be the owner of the land selling to the potential investor. It has nothing to do. Where the government comes in is the government is going to facilitate certain things, and from the federal government aspect, those facilitation will be to do with security and customs and that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Point taken.
Yeah.
But listen. This thing is so messy. You hear? Up to now, I'm trying to understand because I want to know if Nevis has an NIA. They are responsible for certain activities over there. They are responsible for themselves up to a certain extent. So I don't understand what this has to do really in bringing, because to me, maybe I'm wrong, I don't see in which way the federal has to be roped up into this.
Well, you see,
unless there is something hidden that maybe he thinks that down here don't really up onto what is happening, or this is just to incriminate the whole federation or incriminate the federal leader.
I've heard recent statements from Prime Minister Jew, right? And what Jew is saying is that in terms of what I stated before, security and customs and that kind of stuff, where the federal government has the authority to deal with those things, he's saying that this is why the federal aspect is incorporated. What I have a problem with is I cannot understand what Mark could have said to convince the federal contingent to buy into this. That is what I'm vague on. And this is why I say if I were the federal government, I would wash my hand of it.
Yeah, because exactly, because it looks fishy. But look about some of those taxes that they garnered from, what they call it, the offshore or maybe Four Seasons and so on. That was supposed to go in the let's say the full bucket and they get their share of it and whatever. Wasn't it stopped at some point and they say, well, what they collect up there belongs to them?
That is what I've heard.
If that's the case, how now it is going to be said, well, you're going federal because of customs and all these kind of things. So from when now all of this, he now sees where, this has to be, quote unquote, obeyed. And over there, when it was convenient for them, when they were getting all of that money, they cut it off and said, we're keeping it to ourselves.
Well,
something is amiss here. And that master vineyard, they say, no. Now, but anyways, I ain't saying what I have to say on here. Let me move on to something else.
Be brief, though, because I'm due a commercial break.
Yes. On the backdrop of yesterday, the program, something I'm going to mention. Now, I have said prior, you see this CBI? Well, I call it the sale of passport and citizenship. However they want to use words to make it sound like it's not that, to me, that's what it is. And I had already said, this is the new export crop, because everybody who goes in there to form the administration, I don't care what anybody says. This is what they are going to depend on. And even if it is dying a slow death, they're going to keep it on life support. I had already told them that I was never in support of it. I am not in support of it, and I will never be in support of what they're doing. I have made that clear. And I told them at some point, this is going to be the albatross around our necks. Now, we reach to this point because, to me, I don't think we have had honorable persons in charge of the monies. You hear all kinds, millions of dollars disappear, millions of dollars gone down this hole, gone up that hole, gone up in the air, and nothing has been, we have not seen anybody being held accountable. Now, what do you think is going to happen? If there is nothing, if all of this is going down, tourism, we can't depend on it, and we don't have anything to depend on, what do you think is going to happen? No, this is what I foresee. You see all of these special sustainability, whatever zone, and I had also mentioned it before, this is what is going to happen. Because they're going to need money. It's either that or they're going to tax the citizens to death.
WINN.
Sorry.
Go
Other
ahead.
that they're going to tax everybody to death. This is what is going to happen. So we're going to have, because those over there, they know what they're doing, you know. They know what they're doing. Because they know that the persons that we have, they have already yielded themselves. Most of them, it seems like, I have to say that is what it appears like, because we see it, we don't know anything different. They have yielded themselves apparently to corruption and greed. So they know how they have these, our people here in this region by a noose. And so then they can put all of these demands on them to sell the land. And finally, if you realize it, I don't know how many people realize it, these people say they pay a certain amount for the citizenship. But look at what happens. When they come in, right, they try their best, because they have already worked it out, to see how they can get back, and they do get back every cent that they paid for that citizenship. Check it, you see. You check over to Southeast, the southeastern end, look at what they were doing. They're owing for this, they're owing for that, they're owing for Tara and the other. Then they come out and they say, well, oh, they are not able to keep up, they're not able to sustain, and they need this financial help. They get bailout and they get bailout and they get bailout. By all accounts, we don't know that whether it was a loan and they repaid. Now, we are told that the monies that were given in is something to do with shares and all of that thing. But when you look at it, we were not getting any dividends from those shares. And they will not give us any dividends. Because if you get dividends because of the shares, it means that you're some kind of shareholder. Yes, I know they have different types of shares and so on. And some persons, they have ownership and they have first preference to dividends and so on, even though we don't know the type of shares that they had. But they were forced into a position now where we now had to sell out those shares. You think they don't know what they're doing? And then you had a clause which says
why did we have to sell out those shares?
Because I don't think that we're getting any dividends, and they will never have them. They will never see us as partners in that investment.
But I still don't see why would we sell shares you're speaking about? You know, why would we sell them?
Because they're not giving any dividends. So they're going to force them in a position where they will have to sell out. If you're making money and you're not getting any dividends, they were going to force them to sell out. And if they are not making any money, then no dividends can be paid.
So, caller, why then?
Yes.
I'm asking you a question. Why would someone who's supposed to bring an investment, the investment doesn't pan out, you look for bailout on 2 occasions that I'm aware of, and you get those bailout, but yet still the shares that, whether they be minimal or whatever, the shares that I have, you're going to force me out of them? I don't see that. How is that? When you put yourself in a compromising position, why am I allowing you to force me out when I now have the handle and you have the blade because you're coming to me for a bailout?
Number one, fear on our part. I don't believe that they have that mental strength to really stand up for whatever reason, because we don't know how along the line they have been compromised. Maybe when they went to study, we don't know what agreements might have been made. Okay, you seek for political office, and when you get in, we can come to your assistance, or they get whatever thing first, and then they feel that they have an obligation to put demands on them. But in a nutshell, what some people don't realize, when we're talking about investors, they're not really investors, you know. They are not really investors. They are not. They are economic hitmen. And their design is to come and to suck as much money out of the economy. They are not here to invest. And when they come here and they talk about, oh, they have nothing, and they go to the bank empty-handed, and they get all of this money to borrow. All of that is part of their strategy, is part of their plan.
But why is it working? This is because, for instance, let's look at this guy with the movie business and so forth. From what we understand, he came here and he was being paid a certain amount of monies and so forth, where he was supposed to be the one bringing the monies, but yet still he was being paid. And next thing, he reaches the point where he can afford to buy, where OTI was around there. So you're right. They come with nothing. They get something. But why is this happening? Why is this allowed to happen? Why can't our leaders see, like the old saying, you fool me once, shame on you. You fool me twice, you fool me three times, what?
It's possible that they have put themselves in compromising positions. That's one. Two, it's either they are ignorant of the past, or they choose not to do anything about it, right? And three, to me, the divisiveness that is among political groups, right? They're not coming together, having one hand and one head, and having a plan of action. Yes, they might be different. They might have, slightly different ideologies, but there are certain things concerning the country and its welfare, meaningful welfare. Everybody should be on the same page. But every time an administration change, it's 5 years, and the next 5 years. And when somebody go in, they see the need of changing this and changing it. And this is what is playing out against the people.
Yeah.
I was
Anyway,
saying in
caller,
the beginning, right, when they got this thing from the CBI, okay, there should have come a cut-off point where they didn't continue anymore.
Yeah, caller, we're going to have to remember this is, you were supposed to wrap up a good while, but I've accommodated you.
Yes,
So
you're correct. You're correct. Anyway,
yes.
I yield.
Yes.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you
again.
Yes. Let's take a bit of a
Okay.
commercial break.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Ready to save while you build? Now you can at Builders Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builders Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builders Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, and more only at Builders Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builders Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
Flow customers, unlock big prepaid rewards every time you activate a prepaid plan. Activate a 7-day plan or higher and earn points towards your rewards. Activate again, earn even more points. Activate next week, well, you get the picture. The more you activate, the more extra data and prizes you earn. Get in on the big prepaid rewards. Dial *129 or visit topupflow.com to activate a prepaid plan today.
And we are back. The time 8 minutes moving away from the 11 o'clock hour, and we are into voices, and all the chatter has been around this uh, bill and what is happening on Nevis in particular, but also arms and tentacles that stretch across to St. Kitts, and we're finding that there seems to be some kind of a linkage of this. Hello, caller.
Yes, Quinn. Quinn, you were asking when Mark said he went to Martha's Vineyard, and they were asking what did he bring back. Martha's Vineyard is no pia place, you know, Quinn.
I've heard about this Martha's Vineyard, but because I don't try to delve into certain things that I don't know
Quinn,
anything about it.
Martha's Vineyard is for the rich, the wealthy, the elite of the elite.
Okay.
It's not for the common man, okay? So if he went to Martha's Vineyard, what he bring back to Nevis then is a wealthy community. Maybe that's why they want people land, so they can have that exclusive wealthy community just for the elite. Because that's what Martha's Vineyard is about. It's only for the wealthy. Me and you we can't even buy a rock in Martha's Vineyard. So, and another thing, right, that one of your callers was saying that the land in Esther and Nevis is not ours. Our land is in Africa. Now, if every black person decides we're going to Africa, we want land, don't you think the born African will kick up and say, well, how come take Korean land? You don't think the born African will kick up?
I don't look, here's my stance on this. Individuals have the right to feel what they feel, but you notice I always interject what my perspective is, that our foreparents bled and died here, and so we have a claim here. And I don't think that he denied that either, but if he feels that he has a right to go over to Africa and claim land there, well, that is for him.
And again, where in Africa will we go and claim this land? Because in Quint, the furthest of my generation that I can tell you about is my great-grandmother. I don't even know my great-grandmother's name. What tribe are we from Africa, in Africa? Where in Africa will we go to go claim all this? Because let me tell you, if every black person decide we're going back to Africa go claim this,
well, every
you
black
know what the born
person,
African gonna say?
Every
you have
black
to
person,
prove, you see, like,
every black person isn't going to do that.
but you see like how the Venezuelan they come and go in the burying ground and take name off the tombstone and say that they was their great grandfather.
Yeah.
Every black will have to prove that your linkage to this tribe.
Well, like I said, and I'll reiterate, I don't concur with that assessment. I feel that what we inherit here from the blood and sweat of our foreparents is ours. And whomever want to come and say, well, where are the indigenous people going to come from? They're going to come from Antigua and say that they have a claim here? Or are they going to put their claim in whatever island they're on? I show the example of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico still, a lot of them can still trace their lineage directly to those who were here before, right? Let me apologize. There's some work going on here, and it is rather noisy. But yeah, so they can trace their linkage to, because I do research on this kind of a thing, and they want to relinquish their right to give it to Spain. So I'm gonna give up St. Kitts Nevis, and then whoever where are they gonna come from? As a matter of fact, let me say this. I can trace my lineage to the Kalinagos too. You know me, right?
Yes, of course.
You see the color of my skin?
Of course.
And my linkage go back to Nevis. Nevis,
Okay.
there's still a contingent on Nevis that have link with the Caribs. So when someone is going to come up and bring up certain things and say, well, we're going to give up. But if you look at the pigmentation of my hair, there's no disputing the flare of my nose. There's no disputing the black in me. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So
It's,
I'm
it's
not.
just like it's just like my husband, right? 'Cause you know my husband.
Yes.
Do you know when he come to the airport, he gets flagged? And you know why he gets flagged? Because he's coolie here, his nose, he look have an Arab look.
Yeah,
So every time he go airport, he get flagged.
that's it. So when people are going, our own people are going to say, well, relinquish and go to Africa, that is for them. That isn't for me and for those of us who know our lineage and know our history, because they seem to forget that there was a merging of the indigenous people with the slaves, with our black ancestors. That is the way they survived. How you think the Puerto Ricans survived? All of the races that survive to today, it is only because of their linkage and association with the black race. If they did not, they don't exist anymore.
True.
Okay, so they need to know their history. Okay?
Oh boy. Okay, Quinta, I'll continue listening.
Okay. So let me see if I can entertain this other caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, Quint.
Yes.
Good day once more again, and greetings in Jesus' name again to you and your followers, listeners. Now, I'm going to speak on a few different topics, but quickly as I can.
Yeah, because I'm going to take a commercial break right after you do that.
Okay, so quickly as I can. Number one, it is constantly said that the Africans did not know about slavery in the West, how bad it was and that sort of stuff. But that is not completely true. Africans, to a certain extent, did know about the conditions of slavery in the West. You had ex-slaves who returned. You had abolitionists who were making more and more contacts in West Africa during the time of the slavery. And you also had Africans who visited and returned, who toured the plantations and that sort of stuff and returned. As a matter of fact, there's a story that one of them, in the touring and that sort of stuff, he was captured and made a slave. And the European had to work with him to free him so that he could go back to Africa. And Shelby Steele did write an article concerning, yes, Africans to one extent or the other did know about the terrible, evil, wicked condition of the slave atmosphere in the West. Now, a study just came out of the University of California that says government increase in minimum wages increase homelessness. That's a study coming out of the University of California that says that just recently. Another thing, quickly, again.
Greg, when you read these things, why is it that, is it because something comes out of an establishment that you give it credence, or is it that something comes out of an establishment and you decipher it, you do some research, and then you come to a conclusion? You know how much things I come across when I'm perusing for information that I see and I listen to, and then when I listen to it after some time and I do it, just a smattering of research, I just leave it alone. I don't run with it because I realize it doesn't have much of a merit.
Well, number one, reason why, including this that I just mentioned with the minimum wage, number one, it is in line with what I already know. And secondly, it just backs up the Bible teaching that when government involved in certain things they are not, according to the Bible,
So
you're
then,
going to have counterproductive results.
so then, Greg, what you're saying to me is that as long as something concurs with what you already perceive or believe, then you just accept it.
I give it, especially with the Bible, yes, I give it the benefit I don't, especially if we concur with the Bible.
Okay.
Especially that.
I just wanted that to be clear.
Yes. And lastly, adoption. once people have Christian values and that sort of stuff, it doesn't matter to me the skin tone of the people. Just bringing up and rearing whoever with good Christian values, to me, that is what matters the most, and not the skin tone of the person. And that.
But Greg, this is where you sometimes, this is where sometimes you frustrate me, because you heard the statement that the individual made, and the individual said, "Did you see how that child, that little boy, is dressed in a? He's dressed in a dress."
I was just about to address that.
So go ahead.
Right, sorry. Because the person who I know who did that was Madonna.
No, but she's not speaking to Madonna. She's speaking to another person. There are a lot of individuals who adopt children. Some of them, the children go on to good, but a lot of them, the children don't go on to good. Some of these people, they adopt these children so they can be their toys, their slave, their whatever.
That is why I said once they have good Christian values, I have no problem with it.
But who determines who determines that they have good Christian values? We cannot see into the heart of men or women.
Before you give your children to adopt, you're supposed to make sure the track record that the people them have.
But you can't.
You just don't give your thing like that. You don't give your children to adopt like that.
Greg, people can have the best track record up to a point. It is only after someone can have a great track record, and soon as they get this child, they know the intention of what they're going to do with this child, and so now you see how the individual really is.
But that's the only thing we have to go on. That's the only thing we have to go on. A person past track record, and the majority of the time, that track record maintained. That's the only thing we have to go on. We can't see in a person's heart, so to speak, because I believe, in another sense, we can see to a certain degree, because the Bible says, out of the heart of a man, the mouth speaketh. But the only thing I have to go on in judging a person is the track record. That's the only thing I have to go on. And most of the time, it is a very good standard to judge a person. And the Bible is the standard. Okay, Quinn, thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's take a bit of a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Found the sound, 98.9.
Ready to save while you build? Now you can at Builders Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builders Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builders Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, earn more, only at Builders Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builders Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
Flow customers, unlock big prepaid rewards every time you activate a prepaid plan. Activate a 7-day plan or higher and earn points towards your rewards. Activate again, earn even more points. Activate next week, well, you get the picture. The more you activate, the more extra data and prizes you earn. Get in on the big prepaid rewards. Dial *129 or visit topupflow.com to activate a prepaid plan today.
And I'm back with you. Let me see if I can head straight to the phone lines. Hello, caller. Good day. Hello, caller. Yeah, well, it seems as if that person didn't really want to engage. Hello, caller.
Clint,
Yes.
Jim Jones had good Christian value.
Well,
He preached the word. As far as the world thought, he was living the word.
yeah.
But didn't he weaponize that same word?
That is why I said people can have a good track record up until the point they do this dastardly things, because it is who they really are.
Exactly. And I always tell people, you see that Bible? You see this Bible? People can, you don't have to change a word in it. You can use the very word of God and use it for a world of good, but you can use it to do a world of evil, and you don't have to change one word.
Yeah.
You just switch it to suit yourself.
Just yesterday, I was seeing this thing. I'm sure you're aware of it. Of this pastor and this black pastor and this white lady who the authorities have raided, and they found out that they were embezzling money, had living this lavish lifestyle, this big multi-million-dollar mansion, all in the name of Jesus Christ and religion, and giving to the upliftment of people and using it for their own benefit.
Yeah, that's what a lot of them do. You see, I always say people use your faith in God and use that faith against you, because a lot of them, they use it to enrich themselves. That's why the word of God says, try them by the Spirit, because then you can use the word and they use it to enrich themselves. Look at the man that couple years ago in New York, when the preacher got robbed in his church. The gold on his neck was so heavy, and the diamonds them in the watches and the rings was so heavy. When he got robbed, where is he today? I think he's still in prison for embezzlement. So
and
the word.
A lot of these people, you can know them because I've seen them here. When you see you're going to a church and the preacher start telling you things like, no, don't bring any $20 bill up here. The less you should bring up here is $100 bill. Or if anything, you have a big account, cash in some of that money, and when you hear them, you know who they are.
You have to, if you're not preaching, thus said the Lord, you should be aware. And if you're not preaching hellfire and repentance, you should be aware. These prosperity preachers and prophets, half of them are a bunch of crooks. It's just to enrich themselves. So that's why the word of God said, try them by the word, try it by the Spirit. So for Greg to say, oh, the Christian heart, they have a good Christian heart, so that it's okay for them to get the kids. Jim Jones had a good Christian heart. To the world, the man was on top. He was preaching, teaching, but he weaponized that same word and killed many, took many with him.
And you know, when you use Jim Jones as an example, you see all the despicable things he was into. Atrocious things where he would go with a man's wife, and then he would take the man's wife in front of him and go with the man in front of the man's wife, and all this kind of sick thing,
and convince the husband that the Lord said he was okay.
Man, I tell you, we are really in a sick world.
Help us, God. Queen to God.
Yeah. Well, I saw my phone lighting up there. So caller, feel free to call back and engage if you wish to do so. Yeah, well, we just live in a crazy, crazy world. But like I said, my emphasis was really to put a spotlight on this sustainable, special sustainability zone authorization bill. In a nutshell, if I were to sum this bill up, this is the bill. This is what the bill is. It is a zone authorization bill, right? The special sustainability, those are only two words used to sort of pull the wool over our eyes so that we hear sustainability and we say, okay, this is, but we must know what sustainability is. Sustainable for whom? After this zone has been authorized, it then becomes sustainable for those who have bought that zone. It is not sustainable for us, the people, because as one of the callers said, we're now going to be employed there as servants, as not to say that these aren't jobs, but now you become a servant as just serving, always serving. Why can't we be empowered to own so that we can employ? Why is it that only external people can employ? Only external people can offer sustainability? We've seen historically what these investors, for the most part, bring. They're few and far between where we have really good investors who long term over we can say that Marriott has been a sustained business, and whether one is going to say, oh well, there's some negativity associated with the Marriott. Well, there's negativity associated with a whole lot of things, but Marriott has been sustained from then until now. It is still giving big employment. I've heard an individual coming here and say, a black individual say he was employed at the Marriott and he was getting 6 figures. So that is sustainability. But more often than not, that's not the kind of sustainability we get. Hello, caller?
Yes, Quint.
Yes.
Quint, boy, I've been trying to get in since Island Tea.
Well, I've been watching.
I'm glad I made it.
Yeah.
Quint, now, to your last caller, right, who are quoting the Bible and all that is happening, right? Let me say this, Quint, to our listeners. The Bible is a history of genocide. Let me repeat this, Quint. The Bible is a book of genocide of European history, which is psychology on every African globally. The Bible is European empire built on lies, genocide, and atrocity to Africans and on Africans today. Quint, you just use a word, external. You ask the question, why is everything is external? Well, the very Bible is external because it gives us fear, which is false evidence appearing real, having us looking outside of ourselves, Quint. You just ask the question, why is everything is external? Quint, this morning I wanted to get in while you were talking about whatever is going on in Nevis with our politicians. But I wanted to bring this to our attention, Quint. Now, the DRC is run by an African leader by the name of, I can't pronounce his first name, but his first name is, I think it's Felix. Felix, today, have reached out to Donald Trump to come and fix what foreign military have caused in the DRC.
Break down DRC. What does DRC stand for?
The Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Okay, I wanted you
it
to do
is the most expensive piece of real estate on the continent, Quint.
Yes.
Now, I said before that we need to look at these people who are giving us everything in terms of their agenda. Because again, the Bible was an agenda, and it is an agenda on us because we believe, Quint, without facts. But here today now, for me, Quint, how recent was it when Donald Trump referred to Africa as, can I say the word, Quint?
No, you can spell it though.
Okay, with the S whole countries.
Yes.
Now, here we have Felix and other African, and even in our St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean, Quint. As you ask the question, why? We're talking about foreign investors, Quint. And why, for whatever reason, the issue is in Nevis with our Prime Minister and whoever, whatever. I mean, do these people question the value of our lands? Because, Quint, what is happening over there on the continent is happening right at our doorsteps. Now, what is it these people want? Because when we sell out our land to foreign investors, we are selling out the future.
The question, Journey, is not what these people want. The question is, what do we want? Do we value what we have? Because if we valued what we have, then they could want all what they want.
I remember when the Prime Minister, our present Prime Minister, when his inaugural speech at the United Nations, Quint, I mean, I was like, okay, Quint?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Yeah. When I listened to the Prime Minister's speech at the United Nations, his first speech, Quint, my head swelled when I listened to his words. And then a couple months later, when I listened to him at that creature in the UK, at his speech, I was like, well, who is this guy? Who is this Prime Minister? I mean, I was like, I didn't know who he was. And I look at how we say, okay, well, let us give the younger generation a chance to be in leadership. But Quint, for me, listening to them and seeing their performance today, it's like we hear things about green economy and all. Whose ideas were these? Because one of your callers, I think was this morning, a Rasta guy, was talking about agriculture, Quint. Food preparation today, what we are consuming, it's an agenda. The Prime Minister went to the continent, Nigeria, and like the Rasta guy this morning asked, what are their thoughts about food preparation? Because the continent, Quint, we don't even have to eat meat. We can eat, just for Genesis 1 say we were created for herb, for meat.
But again, Journey comes back to us. Why is it that our leaders can't realize that if the Caribbean was vital for Europe in terms of producing agriculture, food, and that is what they used back then. How is it that when it reverts to us, it is of no importance? So agriculture is only important when we are exporting food to Europe. What about food to feed ourselves? Guyana is a perfect example. Imagine Guyana is renowned now for being the only place on the planet Earth that is sustainable in itself in terms of agriculture.
Well, Quint, now we were producing sugar, right? And in those days, I wasn't even paying attention like I am now. But look at what become of sugar. Now we are going into CVI. We're selling our passports. And what are they doing to that area of our economic survival? Who is stabbing us in our back?
When we were producing sugar, this is again things that people must understand with our history. Yes, it is true that sugar was the main produce and product, but if you go back in our history, we did not only export sugar. We exported other foods. We exported peanuts. We exported yams and potatoes and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Those who were down here who had their great houses and so on and so forth, when the ships came in, they went back with things. So is it that this is only good when we are exporting to the Europeans? Why? I mean, even if you go back to the historical days during, let's say go to the so-called emancipation period when we as a enslaved people began to have our little plots of land and blah, blah, blah. Follow that history. Follow what we know, what I still remember when I was growing up, where you go down to the market and all of the food was either coming from Nevis or it was from here. So what has happened to that?
Quint, maybe you keep referring to them as the leaders, but our politicians, and I say that with, I choose to refer to them as politicians. Quint, maybe they are secured. Maybe the future is secured, and they doesn't think about the people. But Quint, quickly, just let me say something again that is going on in the DRC. Now, a certain philanthropist is trying to push to stem pregnancy in Africa, and he was rejected in Namibia, and he now gone into the DRC. Quint, you might know who this person is. And while he was rejected, here is it that he wants to implant into our African sisters in more than one African country, because I think he was accepted in Kenya, and he now went into Namibia, but he was rejected by the new president. But now he gone into the DRC. They're targeting the DRC kind. 8 months, 8 years prevention of women pregnancy, where he's going to implant a Y-shaped chip that would prevent pregnancy in women. Now, for the life of me, Quinn, this is where I am at with our leaders. That we just say yes. We say yes without doing our research, without questioning.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Journey. And I'm going to take a break soon. Here's the thing, Journey. The thing is this. They come and they mix truth with lies. They come to our leaders and they say, but look at your population. Look at the poverty rate in your country. You have to find a way to stem this, right? And we can help you with stemming this. Our leaders now don't look at it from this perspective. How do we stem this? Do we put education in the school? Do we offer male and female a certain standard of living? Because it has been shown scientifically and otherwise that when people become more educated, they don't run and just get pregnant just like that. They have ambition, they have aspirations, so they will put off their getting pregnancy and raising a family until they have acquired some wealth. But our leaders don't look from that perspective. Our leaders take, well, okay, your population is going to be, you're not going to be able to deal with the poverty and the homelessness and so forth, so let us implant this. So who's to blame, really? It still comes down to our leaders.
Well, yeah, and you see, and the lack of education is where everything lies, because we need to, Quint, I always say this, right? They not only colonize us, they colonize God. They colonize our education, our names. They did a number on us, Quint, and it is deep. It is psychological, and it is very deep, because, you see, today, both male and female have lost their way. We don't know value. We don't understand the value. Because, Quint, the woman is the gateway through life. And women need to understand this. And men also need to understand it. Because, you see, divine feminine and divine masculine have to couple together. It's not just pregnancy alone they are permitted on the continent, Remember Kamala Harris went into Ghana and offered then President Nana $40 million to push LGBTQ agenda.
Yeah, imagine that.
That in itself is against life, Quint.
Imagine that. You see, and say one, you say two, because I don't have a problem with her as a woman, I'm not going to discredit the black part of her, but I have a big issue with this is what you're going to push. You, as a black person who wants to be the president of the most powerful country in the world, this is what you're pushing before. But there are some individual who, because she's black and because you want, that is like everything black, do you accept? No, I had a big issue with that.
Right? Remember, her husband is a Caucasian, and she was selected for this purpose. And Quinn, quickly before I go, we as a people, we need to stop going external and look within us, because we are the only one who can bring solace or peace to ourselves. Quint, everything that they gave us is external: religion, politics, education, as if we had no identity. Because without those who were before us, Quint, our ancestors who built the pyramids, which is it's a battle to them today. Quint, when we start to look within ourselves,
yeah, okay, I'm going to take
their misery.
Yeah, I'm going to take a commercial break, And then I saw my phone lines lighting up just a bit, so perhaps you can get back after this commercial break, okay? And we can indulge you.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Flow customers, unlock big prepaid rewards every time you activate a prepaid plan. Activate a 7-day plan or higher and earn points towards your rewards. Activate again, earn even more points. Activate next week, well, you get the picture. The more you activate, the more extra data and prizes you earn. Get in on the big prepaid rewards. Dial *129 # or visit topupflow.com to activate a prepaid plan today.
Ready to save while you build? Now you can at Builders Paradise. Yes, shoppers, build up your Value Club points at Builders Paradise. That's right, Value Club members and shoppers, your favorite frequent buyer club is now available at the home of hardware and more. Whether you're laying tiles, painting walls, replacing doors, upgrading windows, or fixing up your home, every purchase at Builders Paradise now earns you Value Club points. Enjoy exclusive benefits like discounts on thousands of items, special savings for seniors, instant deals, quarterly rebates, plus an extra up to 2% off every quarter. Shop more, save more, and more only at Builders Paradise. Don't miss out. Start building your rewards today with Value Club at Builders Paradise, because every bolt, board, and brush brings you closer to bigger, better savings. Terms and conditions apply.
And I'm back, and we're into the final 15 minutes. Hello, caller.
Good morning, Quinn.
Good day. You've been absent for, I thought I would have heard you
Yeah, I
earlier.
was preoccupied this morning.
Okay.
I heard gaps.
Yeah.
Right, but I couldn't call in. But yes, but you made some pretty good assessments from last night. Okay, the condescending way that the premier approached this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and really and truly, he said nothing new, huh?
That's what I'm saying.
From what from what he hadn't said before on the
I think you tried your best, but I think the whole thing was set up kind of against those who were against, because when I listened to even the host and some of the statements he were making, and for instance, even one point when he played a clip, and even Mark said, well, I thought you were going to play a certain clip, and then he says, well, okay, sorry, I'm going to look for that. And I'm saying to myself, there you are showing your bias, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, from the start, you could have seen that, in the sense that, well, what was started out with was the fact that the what's his name, Glendale Hubbard, I think it was, had indicated that he was going to find the word sovereign in the bill, and it wasn't there. Okay?
Remember you had broached that to me. This is why people need to listen. I remember a program, and you said, I used the word sovereign, and you said, Quint, you got to be careful, because that, from what my understanding, that isn't in the bill. And I said, no, it is not in the bill. This is coming from one of the investors. That is what I said.
Right.
So it is clear.
But exactly. And so to dwell on that from the outset, I think, was it set the tone.
Yeah.
I think it set the tone. And that is why very early I tried to intervene and said, no, it's not in the bill, but it's a term that is associated with these kinds of things. And to just toss it out and ignore it, it would be wrong. It was an attempt to disarm people at the outset.
Okay, so
we want to forestall these things.
So let me indulge you.
Of course, you have to talk about it.
So let me indulge you then, because I've been doing this since I started Voices. Let's go back to the title of the bill: Special Sustainable Zone. I have that underlined, right? And Authorization Bill. The two big words here are zone and authorization. Why do you want? Is this the new way we're going to be going, where you have zone authorization.
Right.
And if you have zone authorization, does that not imply that these zones will have some level of autonomy? Why you
course.
have to see them as zones to be authorized?
Exactly. You actually demarcate in your country.
Yes.
We're doing this. And the more and the larger the size of that demarcation, the worse it becomes.
That's it.
Next thing you know,
the
we
larger.
end up being, next thing you know, we end up being a north Nevis and a south Nevis.
Yeah.
Like North Korea and South Korea.
And-
Supposedly, those kinds of things.
And
what Brantley did, was basically give the impression that unless something isn't right now, that you should not talk about what could be.
Yes.
And that is short-sightedness.
Yeah,
Okay?
but
because that is how the creep up happens.
But it was intentional. That is intentional on his
yeah.
part. It is
Yeah, it was
intentional. He
intentional.
knows exactly what he's doing. He wants there to be silence until it is inevitable, until you have no recourse. Because he kept saying to you, "Here, I'm going to give you the bill. I have a copy of the bill." But all I would have done is deal. You notice this whole morning I've been just dealing with just the title alone,
Right, yeah.
without even delving into the bill. If the title
Don't-
if the title alone is creating so much questions, could you imagine if you begin to peruse the bill?
Well, one of the things I mentioned, the fact that the bill itself is vague, and what's not in the bill is just as important as what's in the bill, and that was one of the points I tried to make.
Yeah, I heard you making
Simply
that point.
because you can't just look at the letter of the bill, okay? You have to look at what the bill can actually achieve.
Yes.
From the time you say you can make concessions, well, what's the extent of those concessions? Because you could, in fact, concede stuff until you end up with what is essentially a de facto sovereign place, right? And that is what that's what we need to guard against, okay? And so I don't think we should fall. Yes, he's very glib. He might convince quite a number of people, but we should not lose sight of the fact that something like this, first of all, you have to create a bill specially for this, the
Yeah.
authorization, as you put it.
Yeah,
And
zone,
like
zone,
you said,
zone
zoning
authorization.
is a particular
Yes.
geographical area. That in itself is going to lead to separateness.
Because
And
zone means, if you're going to say this is a zone authorization bill, it then means, remember when I was referring to the fact that some of the landowners were saying one had 8 acres, and he wanted to sell 4 and hold on to 4, but they didn't want that. Another one had 100 acres. They didn't want him to hold on to any. This zone authorization, just that in the title says that this zone is going to be a particular area inclusive. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It then means that there cannot be in this zone any pockets of anything that is not associated with this zone.
And you know something? I mean, well, he's on record as saying it, and that's the problem. He can say that, but he's not going to be in office in Nevis all the time. He made a point of saying that if people don't want to sell their land, they don't have to. But you get a pocket in that overall zone. And I'm willing to bet that the government of the day would use eminent domain like they've done in Christopher Harbour.
But Mr. McMahon, it is here in the title, zone authorization. It is there. So if you have any pockets, this is where the zone authorization come in, because this is already supposed to be a zone.
Yeah, you can make all kind of bylaws inside there to make it difficult for that little person in that island to say, man, I might as well
you
sell the land.
don't you
Because they
don't
might say, for instance, suppose, for instance, they say, look, all homeowners in this area have to pay a homeowner's fee of, let's say, $10,000, $20,000.
No, they don't
a
have
month.
to do that, Mr. McMahon. They do not. As long as this zone area that these investors want, which is a specific and a precise area, as long as there are pockets in there, all they have to do, remember the bill is entitled Special Sustainability Zone Authorization. So it then means that any pocket in there, the government has the right to say, you can't hamper this development.
But
This
that's what
is
I'm
where the
saying.
zone authorization comes in. They don't have to say tax nothing. All they do is they come and they use zone authorization. This is what the bill is empowering.
I see what you mean. But what I was thinking is that they might be more subtle rather than be high-handed like that.
But they
might be
don't.
more
But
subtle
I am
and
saying
make
they
it
don't have to.
difficult.
But I am saying they don't have to be subtle because it is in the bill's
Yeah,
title.
but there might be backlash. There might be backlash against it, right? Just like how they're attempting to say there's nothing. The bill is innocuous. It's just a bill. It does not. It does not. It's not a proposal or a development plan. It's just a
Look,
bill.
I could
a
be.
framework.
I could be wrong.
know?
I could be wrong, but I don't think they envision this kind of debate that we're having, and that is the problem that they have.
Well,
Now that
I think they
now that
wanted to avoid it.
huh?
I honestly think they wanted to avoid it.
Yes.
To be
So
quite honest. And,
this
and,
is
and you notice too, one of the points I was trying to make, I know he didn't want to go there, but he had the two options. One, basically, get with the developers, present their plan to the people. If it is such a great plan for Nevis, I think most divisions would buy into it and even try to find a way to get a piece of the action one way or the other.
But don't you
Okay?
think that if I'm going to follow you down that vein, don't you think that this is where they should have come to the people before? Last night he kept saying.
yeah.
Last night he kept saying.
That's what I'm saying.
When he was
That is one of the ways he could have done it, but he chose the other way.
when he was
which
asked when he was asked on numerous occasions, why didn't you? Two callers, maybe it was the one who was talking about cash and money, and asked the question: did the federal government come and put the bill to the? Because again, they're using the wording, and Mark pounced on that. We're not speaking about the bill. We don't expect you to bring the bill to the people when in a town hall meeting, because the bill would take some time to put together. We expect you to bring whatever the investor is purporting to bring as an investment, and how it will enhance the development of a given area. That is what we expect, as you were saying, for you to bring to the public. If you had brought that to the public could then buy into it.
But what he has done in choosing this option, that I kept telling him that is how the rollout happened, how this whole thing unfolded, that is troubling, right? What he has done by kind of indicate, and he keeps saying that there was no deception involved, but most people can see deception over my law.
It is obvious.
Right?
It is obvious.
When he says that when he chose to tell the developer to go and get the land, and we know who went and worked and who played a big part in that.
Even that statement, he put his foot in his mouth there.
But that's what I said. He started to make noise and say, "Well, how you mean I facilitated it?" That in itself is facilitating what the developers were doing.
But not only that, Mr. McMahon, it shows, if you're going to say to the developer, look, we don't own any land in that area, so go and talk to the sellers, the owners. How is it then that his family gets privy to this and benefits from it?
Well, it was a bolt of lightning from the sky.
Okay, well.
That one was chosen. Okay,
So-
it's a coincidence. Coincidences happen.
Well.
Okay, and we want to convince people that that is exactly how it went. But people foolish. People not foolish. So he could try as hard as he might, and it was clear from not just the panelists, but the callers who called in didn't believe him.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is true.
And you know what I find obnoxious is the fact that using that route and trying to give the suggestion that well, there's nothing concrete, nothing is happening yet,
Yeah.
kind of thing. What that does is give the people trying to acquire the land an advantage in that they'll sell the land, they'll buy the land supposedly at current market prices. But if you had announced that there was a development, you bet the value of the land would have shoot up.
That's it.
Right? So he, in a sense, he has, well, I wouldn't use the word defrauded, but caused people.
I would put it.
Money.
I would put it this way. I would say that his actions, their actions, have caused a lot of questions to be asked. Put themselves where a lot of question marks are at the end of every statement that they make. That is what I would. I'm very careful how I term what I say, because remember you have to be very careful about libel. So I'm not going to venture into saying he defrauded or anything like that because I don't have any proof.
I would not say defrauded.
Yes.
But he caused people to be disadvantaged. Those who sold their lands up to now would have been disadvantaged because now it is clear that there is a project on the way. The value of the land has increased, and which of course made nonsense of that caller I think you referred to before.
Yeah.
Who said the cash is it? The cash is it?
But I think the whole world was listening to him and just knew that that was, and then to compound
because what he was saying that the cash, having cash is better than the land. But the land, just like how the land price can shoot up just like that, just from an announcement. Okay, that in itself tells you that the guy is wrong. Okay, but you go for cash if you absolutely have to. Otherwise, you hold on to it.
Mr. McMahon, I only will use that person as an example to show what greed does to an individual. I will not use that individual in any other aspect to explain anything because all what he was saying was really a bunch of nonsense. And when the individual later came and said and showed where land can accrue, and you hear his arrogant, you can't tell me, you can't tell me, you can't tell me, that is your opinion. You can't, this foolish arrogance when what you said is just baseless and foolish.
But Quint, you see, there are a number of people like him too, think like him. Because as one of the things I think they use is for people to say, people who have said, well, I wish I had land down there, so I could sell.
Well, anyway, Mr. McMahon, we're 2 minutes over time and it's time for the news, so.
All right, then. we'll talk some more.
Yeah.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.